Rochelle Trow, love yourself. Whoa, I didn't love myself till I was 55 and I didn't even know I didn't. How about you? What's your story there?
Oh, a similar story. I got to 50, a little younger than you, but I got to 50 where I just looked at myself and like, no, I hate this person. I don't recognize this person. And I tried one day to say to myself, I love you. And I couldn't. I broke down in tears. I It was like this massive outpouring. I couldn't even explain. I kind of howled like a baby. And I stood there for a long time in the bathroom crying. I remember I was alone, fortunately, because I
Yeah.
had already separated from my husband and the kids were with him. And I just cried. I just let it all out. And it was at that moment where I said, I have got to learn to love me. Because if I don't love myself, how can I expect the world to love me?
Uh,
How do I love my children if I can't even love myself? So that's my big love bomb
that's
moment
my
where it
story
was
and I'm
like
sticking to it. Yeah,
a
we
complete
all that crying.
breakdown.
Yeah. Major breakdown in front of the mirror. I love it. Okay. And loving others. So yeah, we do have the ability to love others deeper when we love ourselves. For sure.
Yeah. And so when I look at the words loving others, the big learning for me is that I didn't really know how to love.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like there was this, it was absent in my entire life. I mentioned that I was one of 10, and I mentioned that, I grew up thinking I needed to look after myself, but I never witnessed emotion. I never witnessed intimacy, touching, hugging, cuddling. In my home where I grew up. And I mean, I have amazing family, and the care and love that we show each other is very much around service. We cook for each other. We're constantly making sure everybody's comfortable. It's always about others. And then I started to question myself, is that really what loving others means?
Wow.
And I was like, well, no, surely that can't be it, because you can't just love in service of, because when you're doing that, you are just giving away all your energy and nothing comes back.
Yeah.
So much so that, when I got my twin boys, I love them so intently, but I love them with almost like the sense of fierce love, control. I
Right?
remember my mother being like a sergeant. The house has to be clean. This has to be done. We were grown up like robots as opposed to intimate, loving, tender care. And then I realized I'm loving my kids in the way I was brought up. I was loving him in a way that I was overprotecting them. I was over controlling, not allowing them to flourish as individuals and the beautiful human beings that they are. And then I sat there going, this can't be love.
Right?
Can't be love.
Yeah. I got caught up in that too. In my first marriage, a sister-in-law had lost a baby, and I realized I hadn't released my firstborn. It was the only one I had at the time. I have two kids now. Yeah, and I wouldn't even let someone else put him in a car. It was really weird, and so I was like, "Wow, there is an emotional cord, umbilical cord that I get to cut." Because I can't control all of this. I can only control me. So that was pretty eye-opening. And then joy came back into my life. What do you have to say about that word, joy?
Well, when I started to love myself, but I first had to learn what love is.
Yeah.
So I talk about leveraging ChatGPT. I said to ChatGPT, what is love? Write me a poem to
Ah,
explain what love is.
cool.
And out came this poem, and I read this poem, and I had another meltdown. I broke down in tears. I literally howled again.
Yeah.
And it was almost when I think back to the moment and how I felt, it was like I was grieving. It was like I was grieving this loss of something I didn't have.
Yes. Right?
And
What an awakening.
it was like an emptying. It was literally, I mean, I cried for hours. I can't even intellectually tell you what I was crying about, except
Right?
this poem
It
brought
was
out all these
leaving. Whatever.
emotions. I can't explain it, Linda.
Yeah.
All I know is that I sobbed
Yeah.
and I kept looking at this poem like I was grieving, like I lost something. And
Yeah.
so joy came into my life. I guess after that, because I realized maybe that was the moment when I grieved the fact that I didn't experience love. Because
Yeah.
after that, I started to look at my kids in a different way. I started
Nice.
to go, but hang on. It's so much more fun just to watch them slip up. It's so much more fun to let
Ah,
them make mistakes. And so I started to see the joy in the freedom of love. I started to
wow.
see joy in the you don't need to control somebody else to show them that you love them. You just have to be there. You just have to be alongside them.
Right?
And it's in that being alongside in whatever way works. And so that's when I started to feel love in a different way. I started to experience the relationship with my kids. I started to experience the relationship with my friends in a different way. I mean, I have some incredible friends, amazing. We don't even live in the same country, but I have this deep connection with them, love, respect, that I can say anything and they don't judge me for what I say because
Right?
they know what's underneath me. And
Exactly.
so when I gave myself the permission to love without any conditions, it started coming back in the form of joy.
Beautiful. I love it. And love freely, which means to me giving others agency to be who they are and make their own choices. And yeah, so what comes up for you? Love freely.
Well, I think what stands out for me is a paradox. At one point in my life, I literally had no smile on my face.
Wow.
Every time I looked at myself in the mirror, it was this grim face. When anything happened, I couldn't even smile. I couldn't even celebrate the good things in life. I couldn't even go on a drive in nature and appreciate the beauty of what I was seeing. I stopped seeing the beauty of life. And I said to myself, this cannot be it. But the paradox is when I learned to love myself, when I learned to feel the joy that love gave me, I started to notice. I started to appreciate the everything, the trees, the sky, the beautiful surroundings of this amazing country I live in. And it brought back a moment in my life, which is the paradox. I was that person who loved and experienced life. I remember going to the Drakensberg Mountains. I remember this trip very clearly with my ex-husband. We were still dating back then. And we went for a horse ride. And my idea of a horse ride was, okay, I wasn't an experienced rider, but my idea of a horse ride was go gently, slowly, experience everything. And he, with the tone, almost chastised me and said, why do you need to turn every leaf over? Literally, because I was stopping to admire the beauty of the tree.
Wow.
And so when I think back, I'm like, but I loved freely. What happened to me? I became
Oh,
this person who couldn't even smile, who couldn't even appreciate life. And so all I did was go back to the essence of who I was. That's
nice.
love freely.
Mm,
Loving everything in life.
perfect. And painting your own canvas. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Rochelle.